Hello everyone, let's look at some Python jobs, and we are looking at Python developer remote within 10 miles. You've got to be within 10 miles of your job in the UK. So I've got up here totaljobs.com, and also we will look at read.co.uk. They're two of the ones which allow you to specify remote. I think this allows you to specify remote. It matters not. Anyway, this does allow you to specify, there we go, work from home down here. Not, what the, cruise ship paramedic? Yeah, you probably need those these days, what with certain viruses that spread around the world. Right, anyway, Python developer, Bristol area, 50 to 80,000 pounds. That sounds quite a lot. But then again, if you've got a lot of experience and a good background, then these days of inflation, you probably need to earn that much. So, great opportunity for a developer who wants to work for a company that are helping the world become more secure using technology. Commercial experience working with Python. Fully remote options available or hybrid out of Bristol/Cheltenham/London. Salary up to £80,000, up to 30 days holiday, company share scheme, private family healthcare. Our platform helps organizations and governments prevent financial, they can't even spell financial crime. Governments prevent financial crime. I think you can guess what I'm thinking there. Aren't they the ones who... Yeah, anyway, too controversial probably. I'll get deplatformed. What you will be doing: Python, Bash, MongoDB, technically proficient with each stage of the software development lifecycle, aka the SDL. Strong communication skills. You'll be able to explain complex concepts, write clear and concise code reviews, pull requests and documentation. Okay, so yeah, AWS. So they're trying to prevent financial crime, and sorry, I'm going to try and I'm trying really hard to keep this to software without getting political, but let me just have some coffee. Junior software engineer, Python, data, SQL. Hybrid, WFH. London, 2 days a week. So train, if you live 100 miles away, you're going to need to get a train. If you need to get a train, then it's probably £140 a day if you live 100 miles away. So that's about £300 a week to get to the office. So and this salary is only 55k. So really, you need to live close to London. So it's not really remote. It's so expensive to travel these days that anything that's hybrid or hybrid/WFH. Anyway, enough about the logistics. Let's look at this. You need a degree having achieved a 2-1 or above gained in computer science or similar technical, scientific, numerate discipline. So why is this so important? My hunch is that you need to be very au fait, so to speak, with algorithms and big O notation. If you've not come across that before, I mentioned that in a video the other week, and until I've read plenty of books, but until I started watching a university course online a while back, I wasn't really fully aware of the significance of speed, performance, big O notation, and so on. So yeah, it's all very well reading how to automate the boring stuff, but unless you know algorithms, and also agnostic, so don't commit your knowledge or solely learn a language. You need to learn programming as opposed to learning a language. Anyway, that's enough of my nonsense. If I knew it all, I wouldn't be making YouTube videos, would I? Hopefully this is just kind of I'm poking the viewers with a stick, much like I would have appreciated that few years ago. So Puppet, Python, AWS Finance, AWS Technologist, Python, TypeScript. You see TypeScript cropping up so much now as well. Software engineer. Oscar recruit. Here we go. So 2 years working using Python and TypeScript. So I know very little about TypeScript, I have to confess. Is it like JavaScript but with a few extra bits? Awareness. So experience working with serverless, microservice principles, continuous integration, unit testing, BDD, TDD, behavioral driven design, test driven design. If you ever see one that specifies just one of those, then I think in the real world you need both test and behavioral. So test driven design starts off writing the test, and then you have to write the code to pass the test. But there's this thing called coverage, and once you start chasing 100% coverage, you will then spend more time writing the tests than you will writing the code, and it will just slow you down. Experience with MySQL, aka MariaDB. Familiar with API principles. To be honest, that's quite... If you're not familiar with API principles, then what have you been doing? An interest in writing software. So what was this actually called? A software engineer, so it's not a developer as such, even though the search was for developer. Anyway, I'm not... So, right, that's enough of this one, because that's taken me to software engineer jobs. We want to look at developer jobs. So Python developer, Tableau. So in the UK, Sopra Steria would be the actual employer. So with these job sites, some of them are advertised by agencies who are recruiting on behalf of the employer, and other ones the employer actually seems to be doing their own ad, and this is one such advert. Sopra Steria have contracts with the government. That's all I'm going to say. Health tech. So we've got MOD. Think about the sector you want to work in. It actually makes a huge difference to the type of work you'll be doing and the type of people you'll be working around. So if you're 20 and you haven't worked in different sectors, do you want to be around military people, health people? Do you want to be in a startup that might not be around in 2 years' time? I'm actually envious of people who have worked in startups. Some of the things I say are kind of me being envious or jealous. I'm not sure which is the correct word. Python developer, Swansea. I think I know what that one will be. There's a company who are switching all of their software to Python, and they do insurance. Let's see if it's that one. Insurance industry. There we go. 50,000, 3 years experience, 3-stage process. Swansea is in Wales, which is joined on to the UK. The UK, sorry. It is in the UK, it's joined on to England. UI developer, user interface developer, London. I bet this will be hybrid WFH. Yeah, 1 day a week in London. React. Yeah. Python, React. It does seem that so sometimes you see the jobs asking for full stack developer, other times you would just see Python, React. The gist of it is that many businesses do seem to be using Django and so on. So senior developer, Remote working environment, 2 years experience as senior. Again, Cardiff is in Wales, the next country across from England. Manchester, mid-level full stack developer. Oh, so 30 to 45 and then 45 to 70. So probably the same company, just two different. That's leading. I wish they wouldn't use all capitals. It's just annoying. I'm not even going to read. I don't. Does anyone actually think it's in one lifetime you can be a brilliant full stack developer? Is that such a thing? SAS, JavaScript, React, Python, remote, WFH. Are you a technologist? Join an SaaS startup. 75 to 85,000 pounds. That's a lot of money. Strong JavaScript, TypeScript skills. Strong knowledge, computer science, OOP, data structures. Here we go. So data structures, design patterns, software development best practice. So yeah, I think really this probably confirms what I was saying. You can write code or you can edit code and you can get by, but if you've really studied for several years and understand complex algorithms and how to implement them, it's not just understanding the algorithms, it's more how to implement them. For instance, if you've been watching my board game videos, I understand how Minimax works, but trying to implement it is, I would say, harder, unless you go and copy someone else's code. So yeah, understanding the algorithms is half the battle, but implementing is, say, that's something else again. So let's pick a county. Let's go for, where are all the Manchester ones? Where's that? Let's it doesn't matter. Let's go for Yorkshire. Contracts Python developer, 400 to 600 pounds a day. So anyone watching from another country will probably think that's a vast amount of money. But it's all relative. It would be like earning a lot of money but living in Switzerland. It's fine earning £1,000 a day, but if a cup of coffee costs £300, a slight exaggeration, but you get the general idea. Does anybody know what a Big Mac costs in Zurich? Probably £20. I don't know. Python, React, Python C.NET. So many of these Python jobs ask for, there's many that want Python and JavaScript, Python plus one other language, many that are asking for Django. So if your interest lies with programming rather than code software engineering, I'm not really the best person to advise, but I suspect that you will probably be better learning a compiled language rather than just trying to get a job with Python, or being expected to know JavaScript and become a software engineer and know React and so on. So I know a lot of my comments probably sound anti-JavaScript and anti-React, but that's not the case. It's more that if you're self-taught and you started learning Python many years ago, or even before that, you learned other languages such as, I'm talking about myself here. So years ago, I learned Visual Basic. I learned Delphi, which was based on Pascal, which is compiled. Visual Basic compiled. In the early days of template websites. Well, and even now, obviously, ASP has come along, but PHP, not compiled. And then along came C# and other stuff. So, yeah, just think about whether you prefer writing compiled. To me, languages are either compiled or interpreted. Python data engineer, remote working, PostgreSQL, AWS. My own personal opinion, again, opinion, is that SQL will always stand you in good stead. Yeah, NumPy, Pandas. So I think you can, whatever job you do that involves software, if you know Python with Pandas, NumPy, SQL, and also obviously Linux, you should do okay. So this, to me, this job's not too offensive. It doesn't specifically specify Django, but you often see Mongo DB mentioned in connection with Django. What is this company? It's sports betting, I believe. Yeah. So again, think about the sector you want to work in. Whether it's defense, health, sports betting. I guess if you've got really strong opinions or ethics, then you might not like sports betting. If you're fascinated by high speed, fast moving industry, then you might like it. So, benefits, equity. So, wow. If you don't know what equity means, it means you can have a share in the company, and then if the company goes from being worth a few £1,000 to 10 million, then your shares are going to do very well. If you've got a 1% share of a company and it is then worth £100 million, well, let you work that out. This hasn't been a very structured look at the jobs, I'm afraid, but I think I think you can kind of work it out for yourself. There's a lot of jobs out there which, if you've got plenty of experience, then you can earn lots of money. But is earning lots of money what you really want to do? And think about the sector you want to work in. So, yeah, the gist of today's video is think about the sector you want to work in, and do you want to be using JavaScript and Python, because they seem to be mentioned quite a lot on here. If you don't want to be using Python plus JavaScript, then you need to think of the other kinds of jobs, which are probably data science or something involving SQL and databases. Or obviously artificial intelligence and all that stuff, but I guess it depends. If you've got a degree in computer science, that obviously is the thing which moves you up into a higher band of pay and possibly more interesting work. So I'm not here to preach whether that's a good idea or bad idea. Obviously, there's implications of going to university these days. If you can do it and someone else is going to subsidize you, whether it's family or a potential employer, then that's all good. So, yeah, that's it for now. Hopefully this has, I don't know, given you something to think about. And if you're not from the UK, just remember, these salaries may look high, but the cost of living is now going through the roof. And I'm not moaning, because there's many people in the world worse off than we are in the UK, but just everything is relative. If you're solely thinking about money, just think about the cost of living versus the salary that you will earn. And also think, could I work for a UK company but still live somewhere where it's cheaper to live? Anyway, enough from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with something else.